All right, let's go and open this up. Let's see how this goes. Is this gonna work? Will this work? I'd be really shocked. No way. No way. All right, so Poke Transporter launched in February of 2014 for, well, most of the world. Japan, it released in Christmas of 2013. It was supposed to release for the rest of the world, but the eShop had a little thing called overflow traffic. And I remember when this happened specifically. It also happened in 2014, and I was a little surprised it happening back then, but I don't know, I guess Nintendo just didn't predict that would be the case. But yeah, Pokemon Transporter and Bank was delisted. Of course, these two softwares go hand in hand. You can't actually get Transporter unless you have Pokemon Bank. So I actually thankfully did download these two applications before they went offline. There's a strange thing about Poke Transporter. I guess I doesn't really need to know about this information anymore, but in order for me to be able to get this, you had to pay for the subscription that is now free, as in the $5 a year, in order to be able to download Poke Transporter. Otherwise, you could just only download Bank for free. So you had to go into Bank and you had to click the Poke Transporter option, which then you can download Poke Transporter. But you can't do that anymore, even if you already have Bank, because even downloading free software is no longer allowed for the eShop. I don't understand why that had to be the case, because I guess they made it through like a purchase system or something, which honestly is pretty a bad oversight, to say the least, because the Wii, you can still download stuff on there for free, like the Skyward Sword save data, Fix Tool, I think the Photo Channel, and some other stuff, not YouTube. But yeah, you can definitely download free things still on the Wii Shop channel, but for some reason you can't, unless you already downloaded to begin with on the 3DS. But we're going to try out Poke Transporter, see how this works. In fact, I have actually with me a Japanese copy of Pokemon White. So in order for you to use Transporter, you need a copy of Black, White, Pokemon Black 2, or Pokemon White 2. And you might notice something interesting. Here we got it says nothing's inserted the game card slot. When I put the game in there, see how it makes it made a little flash right there? That shows that the game's registering. Now, here's a bit of a fun fact really quick. Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2, they have region locking. And you might be thinking, wait a second, DS games don't have region locking along with Game Boy Advance games. Well, DSi games are. And, in fact, interestingly enough, that family of Pokemon games, Gen 5, it actually is a hybrid DS/DSi game because, well, it's got camera functionality in there, which you can have like video chat and stuff like that locally with the C gear. So that's a bit of a fun fact. People don't realize that the DSi features actually make region locking happen in Gen 5. However, if you play these games on a DS or a DS Lite, because there's no camera, you can play them just fine. There's no region locking. So I actually want to try this out really quick to see if Poke Transporter will actually work with this, even though I can't actually play these games. So we're going to check this out really quick. Opening up Poke Transporter. There's Bridget right there, by the way. Bridget originally appeared in Pokemon Box, another kind of storage system that people might not even realize. I didn't even realize until years later. But all right, let's go and open this up. Let's see how this goes. Is this gonna work? Will this work? I'd be really shocked if it did. No way. No way. Holy cow, we can actually use Pokemon White, even though the Japanese version, even though it's region locked. That is insane. Holy cow. I'm flabbergasted, guys, to say the least. I didn't think that was going to actually work. That's insane. Now, how Poke Transporter works, if I remember correctly, the first box, it transports from that to your bank account. I'm not exactly sure why this is freezing up. That's kind of strange, to say the least. Okay, we got to communicate with the servers, I guess. I don't want to, go overload or whatever. Pokemon sent to Pokemon Bank can't be returned the original game. Yeah, because once again, Transporter and bank are interlinked. All right, so for whatever reason, the recording corrupted, as in my audio corrupted, but the video is still working, so I'll just play on screen the process of Pokemon being transported from PokeTransport to, well, Pokemon Bank. It really is nothing special besides a spinning dial and some confirmation saying that certain nicknames, if they're inappropriate, will be renamed, and items will be returned to the bag in Pokemon Black and White, since, well, they don't want to see people cheating, since, well, yeah, money and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to put them in box once. This is a little annoying because I guess every Pokemon game always had some kind of tedium when it came to transferring from generation to generation, being where you could only transfer like 6 Pokemon at a time. I think in your party, and from generation 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5, it was, I think, something similar, but it was like 6 at a time. It was a little bit faster, and was strangely in like Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, I'm pretty sure, maybe just Diamond and Pearl, you can only transfer Pokemon once per 24 hours, like 6 Pokemon per 24 hours, and that was not cool at all. But in this, you can only do per box, so you have to take all the Pokemon, move them to a box, do that again. It's a little bit easier in Black and White too. But we're gonna hop over to Pokemon Bank. And unfortunately, I need to, here's another annoyance. This is probably where people probably find some tedium here really quick. But I will also mention really quick as well, Pokemon Red version, Blue version, Green version, and Yellow version. Well, Green version if you have the Japanese, because they only release there. And then Gold, Silver, and Crystal will also work with Transporter, but you need to have them downloaded on your system already. That's pretty freaking cool as well, because there's, stuff like Shiny Celebi legally that can appear, but I don't know. Probably me saying that will spawn somebody in the comments to go off and say, like, actually, I can use my Jenning thingy babobber and cheat the system, and it will go through bank just fine. In fact, it's showing up in home right now. So it's like, okay, I mean, I don't really see that as something to warrant yourself not being able to sleep at night, but I myself, we're going to move on to the talking about the tedium here, where you had to take your copy, be it Pokemon Black, White, Black 2, White 2, out of the system. And then I got to go grab a copy of Gen 6 games or Gen 7 so we can use that in bank because, yeah, tedium. But, yeah. Alright, I was wondering what happened to my copy of Pokemon Ruby. Turns out it was my other system completely and said something about an update. I don't think we need an update. You just simply need to have Pokemon Bank or Transporter. I guess really just Bank in this case since we're opening this up updated. You will also notice that the, I guess the copyright date didn't change. The version has changed right there, though. I think Transporter had to update, for the Gens 1 through 2 games. I really am curious, how Transporter, how's that going to work? Since we got Coliseum and XD, we're going to be able to transport those to home. Maybe the Gen 1 and Gen 2 and Gen 3 games. That would be nice if we could see those. Honestly, it would be a pretty penultimate experience if you think about it. Like, if we had Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 on the Switch, then every generation of Pokemon can be played in some way, shape, or form, at least with the Switch too. Also, you can see Pokemon Bank's doing some weird thing with like =47 days. This is where you can PokeTransport download. Now, as I mentioned before, you shouldn't be able to download it unless you already downloaded it before, which I mentioned about the silly $5, not including tax thing. I'm not here to judge you, by the way, if you evade taxes. A lot of people did that with this, man. I really like going on random tangents, it seems. But let's go ahead and use Pokemon Bank. Once we open it up, you see right there me flexing with my completed Pokedex, of course. It was legit. I'm actually serious about that. Most people are like, yeah, totally legit. A thing, I totally am not, cheating or whatever. No, I didn't cheat. I actually legit, did some cool things with it. And I'm not sure what's going on. I think this is a, first met in the Hoenn region. Not exactly sure what that's all about, but as you can see here, we're using Pokemon Bank to move things from Pokemon we transported from PokeTransporter, although I know I definitely did this at one point. I'm not sure why it's changed. I think I put it in a different box or something like that. But it still is possible to use PokeTransporter. It still is possible to use Pokemon Bank. I think, honestly, what would be a cool video, and I think I am going to be doing this, is checking out how many Pokemon can you transport from all kinds of different games. Because there's a lot of games out there, and I definitely do have the possibility to do it. Even legitly, I have the possibility to do it. But With that being said, then, I hope everyone enjoyed this nice little insert of using Poke Transporter. I think we'll be talking much more about Poke Transporter and Pokemon Bank in the later future. It'll be the first time I actually use Pokemon Home. I've never actually used it, but I have played and beaten a portion of the Switch games. But I was a huge Pokemon fan at one point. I'm not so much now, because I guess you could say I got burned out with it. But yeah, go out there. If you still have Pokemon Transporter downloaded, you can still use it to this day. Have some fun with checking it out, and enjoy it without a subscription fee as well, because this will shut down eventually. It's awesome to see that it's working. It's awesome to see that, you know, there are still possibilities to be able to transfer your Pokemon up from Gens 3, 4, and 5 up to, you know, Gen 6 and 7, and then of course from, you know, there to Home, and, you know, all the way in Gens 8 and 9 and all the other games as well on Switch. But better get them while you can. Don't wait on this. If there's Pokemon you would like to transfer up. I personally am not going to transfer every single one of my Pokemons up from, you know, all those other games to the Switch games, even though I guess you could make them last longer. I don't know. I definitely will be transferring some Pokemon up from those games to there, but it just feels like Pokemon just isn't as special to me. And yeah, I know sob story number 1910 about like why Pokemon was better back then, but I don't know, like there's a lot of people out there that say Pokemon like kind of died for them in a certain generation. I guess for me, that was kind of it in Sun and Moon. Even though a lot of people say those weren't the greatest generations, I thought that was kind of it for me because it didn't feel as special after that. So I think a lot of Pokemon are going to be staying with me on my Sun and Moon games. I'm going to disperse them. I don't keep all my eggs in one basket between different Sun and Moon save files. In case one dies, I at least have some save files and some others. Maybe I will go through the illicit means of using backups, but I will be transferring some Pokemon. I'm not exactly sure what, probably not my like very first Pokemon, but they will be transferred to the Switch, and I will go from there then. But with that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your night-day time zone, and get out there, do some Pokemon transporting, and access Pokemon Bank before it is inevitably shut down.